Awesome. We have about a half an hour left. What would you guys like to do? Gerald, do you have any wishes or requests, or how do you do this? Or do you want us to be like, I want to see Shannon do this, or I want to see Tanya do this? Or do you want to come up and be like, hey, here's this and this and this and this? Do you want practice anywhere?
No, not right at the moment.
Okay.
That's very diplomatic.
That's a no.
Yeah.
Okay. Tanya, do you have any questions on the flex grid? Do you want to try to break it? Do you want to try to?
I don't want to try to break it. I maybe do.
Are you going to be here tomorrow, or you have some other work you have to do?
I may be remote.
Okay. Great.
So.
The flyer that I sent you actually has the ID on it, so you can literally just exactly what you're doing right there. You could log in. And so
That would be great. So
okay.
Perfect. I think an interesting idea that I come across, and this may be too late in the day to think about this, but this, so Adilas, I think, would do a great, like, a lot of times you have something where you want to just manage users. You all belong to a group, and this is my organization. It's kind of a membership organization, and I just want to keep track of everybody and who they are and their contacts and stuff like that. But I also want to push part of it out there so that if people want to contact Joe, they can get on there and find Joe's contact information or whatever. So it occurs to me that this would work for that. And you don't have to do the whole thing if there's no time. Yes or no, what's the idea behind that?
I would say absolutely, okay? And so you need to kind of figure out, so in Adilas world, guess what? Our professionals, all the different contacts, are actually going to be used under the customer database, just like these guys said this. I want the students to be called, like members or whatever. It's a corp-wide setting. You flip it, and then all of a sudden you're recording all of your members in your customer database, and it's easy. If you wanted to, you could even allow them to virtually log in from the back end, change their own information if they wanted to, and like you could manage all of that as far as who's what, who's tied to who. Like,
That's great.
here's one of the cool pieces of the Adilas. So you have this huge big map here. There's a neat little thing. If you want to see where this particular one is, there's a one right off the main homepage. Or if you go Chooser and you go Interactive Map, and then you go Help, here's a small little graphic of what we allow you to do. I'm just going to blow this up. But right here, look at how we circled some of these different little pieces. Okay? Which piece do you want to use? Okay? Literally, you can sell one page of Adilas and somebody could be totally happy. So watch this. Customers and logs. What's happening? And you just flip the name customers to members, and guess what you just did? Oh, do we want to schedule some members? No problem. We're going between elements of time and our virtual customer table. Like, it's called a corp-wide setting, but literally you flip it that easy. Okay? If you have a scenario, we'd love to walk through it unless anybody else has another piece of the puzzle. Do you want to see that, or?
Sure.
Okay, great.
Unless somebody else wants to say something. Speak now, guys.
Yeah. Okay, so what let's do is let's find a little spot here. I'm going to look at the different corporations, and let's say that this Equestrian Center, okay? Let's go see what they have underneath for their particular things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go to the customer homepage. It currently says customer on it, okay? So let's actually change this to member. So here's how you would do it. You would go home, whatever your home page is, and then you would come down to your manage corp info and permissions. You have to have a pretty high admin permission to change this, okay? You hit go. You set corp-wide settings. These colors are quite interesting. Maybe they need some Tanya help with some, like look at those link colors. We allow you to change that. So really quick before we do this, watch this. Look at this, look and feel. If you know what your link colors are, what you want them to be, You literally can tweak them right here, okay? This is just a playground site. Say I wanted this a little easier to read, and I knew that white was that, and I say edit that, all of a sudden it's a little easier to read than blue on blue, okay? Like, you can tweak a bunch of stuff. Okay, anyway, nonetheless, we were trying to go to corp-wide settings, okay? So guess what? Here's some of the different ones that you have. Tanya, we haven't even talked about this, but this is some of the flexibility that's built into Adilas, if you will, okay? We're coming down. Here's where we're at, right here. These next little pieces, you can see how it says the word customer, customer, customer. We literally go this easy. Member, okay? And it says it needs to be singular. And now if you wanted to, you could create like a shortened version of that. I'm actually just going to still call it member. It allows up to 15 characters, and this one allows up to, 50 or whatever. So, okay, if I wanted to, I can change that same thing. And I'm just going to copy that and start pasting it all across this page. Member, okay. So here's a cool thing. Check this out. Here's your member start date. Here's your member end date. Did you want to actually have a membership and actually track it and when it's due and whatever? Like, you can actually track all kinds of different stuff, okay? You can call it whatever you want. If you don't want it called membership date, you could call it, whatever. Like, basically, dues, fees, prepaids, like whatever, your VIP status, whatever. Like, you just name it, and then it's a date field that it can hold. We're going to come down and go a little bit lower. Anywhere where I see the word customer, I'm going to kind of start changing. We're not even using the queue. The queue is like, who's next, next, next. It's kind of a service type thing. We're going to call it a member invoice in case we wanted to actually do something like that. Well, a couple little quick pastes. Like, you have tons of settings. I'm scrolling through them fast here. Watch this. I'm going to go down to the very, very bottom, and I'm going to say save these settings. So now, if I go home and say I was back at the map again, this is just a graphic, so it doesn't change. But if I click on customers now, watch what happens. Member, member, member. Like, you basically just cascaded that thing throughout the entire system. Watch this. We'll do a search on this page. Control F for the word MEMBER. 16 places that I actually cascaded that thing instantly into whatever you wanted. Okay, that's called a corp-wide setting. So guess what? If I'm over in invoices, and I know invoices are tied to customers, right? Let's go ahead and go to the invoice homepage. Okay, member, show hide. Do you want to do a member filter? Like, all throughout the whole system. You make one change, you just changed 100 different little things. We virtually created a whole new little world. Does that answer part of your questions?
Right. You didn't really change anything in the underlying architecture.
No.
It's just what we knew that a member was like a customer, and therefore we just use member in place of customer, and our mind shifted.
Here's what happens, okay? Smoke and mirrors, okay? Some people get offended about, don't ever tell somebody you're doing smoke and mirrors. I want you to know that you're actually using the customer table. You just put an alias on it, basically, which we call a corp-wide setting, which basically says call it a member. So anywhere where I go, even clear up to my quick search options. If I click here, guess what I'm going to be doing? Member all. So instead of student or customer, like, I'm flipping it all over the place. All my searches, I'm now on member contact search results. Okay, I guarantee you this was changed. There's member, like, we're cascading it through all stuff. If I go to the log, guess what it's going to say? Member log. Okay, like, it literally starts playing the game with your, okay, cool. You said to call it this, so we'll play. We'll play. Okay?
And then if there's anything that's information in that member section that's not in the defaults, then we just use a flex grid.
You could use a flex grid.
Say we want to know what their whatever, kind of car they drive or whatever, some information.
So literally, watch how quick this is, okay? So we just changed this into members. Actually, this is a horse or equestrian type thing. Why don't we say, hey, do they have a truck or a trailer? Like, because that would be kind of horse type related stuff. Let's go home. Right here, we're going to go to the FlexGrid homepage. I'm actually going to switch my options real quick if you're okay with that. I'm going to go to Chooser, and I'm going to set my default to the map. Okay? So now when I click Home, I'm going to kind of be using the map interface. FlexGrid homepage. I'm looking for a link right here that says Manage Admin Settings. I don't have it. So guess what I'm going to do? Home, Users, Find Myself, and I'm going to say, you know what? I know that that's a maintenance permission. Click. That's all I needed. Perfect. Thank you. Bottom of the page. Edit. Now when I go back home and I click on FlexGrid, aha, that's what I was looking for. Manage the corporation thing. So I'm going to come down and I'm going to see what I have under Member. Here's my members. Currently I have one called Other One. It's just a default, kind of like the settings. So I'm going to click on it and I'm actually going to change it. And why don't we just say something like that, okay? We'll allow them to kind of plug in whatever they want. And we're going to add another one. So technically down here under Member, I just created a new field. I said Open Entry, okay? Now I'm going to create a new one, and I'm going to tie it also to Member, and I'm going to say trailer and capacity or something like that. Like maybe I want to know, hey, can you haul 2 horses or 3 horses or whatever? Or maybe I wanted one that says trailer and another one that said capacity, like whatever you wanted to do. Is that how you say capacity? I have to spell check all my stuff.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, add the field. Click. Okay, so watch this. So technically, I'm going to bail right out of here. I'm currently in the FlexGrid stuff. And if you have questions on this, each page has a help file that has a bunch of information as far as like what it does. Every single page does, okay? So I'm going to go like this. Go get me all my members. And here's Te Balsamo, okay, or whatever. Actually, this might actually be a horse's name. Who knows? Maybe they were documenting their animals. Okay, let's go like this. New member. We're just going to kind of quickly plug something in. Bob Smith, how about that? Let's pretend that we filled out all the rest of his information and we got it all good and we're happy. Okay, blah, 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 whatever we wanted to do for Bob, including his membership, start and end dates, whatever. Okay. If we wanted to, just so you can see how this shows up, say that he started today, and he actually prepaid for a couple years. So let's go 8/28 of 15. We'll add him as a member. Okay. So technically, as soon as I start adding dates, it starts now pushing them further out into the future. Okay. If this date actually gets superseded, this is some code that's kind of special. I know we're eventually adding some FlexGrid. I'm just taking a small sidetrack. Okay. Say we actually said that his thing actually got done on the 20th, okay, just for fun, just so you can kind of see what it does. If we hit Edit Member, because that one is passed and it knows that it's kind of dealing that, it's like, hey, just so you know, if you pull him into the shopping cart, literally what's going to end up happening is it's going to kind of start saying, whoa, 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 just so you know, like, he might be past his date. It's kind of a way to flag things. That's a special field. We haven't even talked about it, but it's a piece that is involved in customers. Okay. So anyway, long story short, let's go back to Bob. We're right here. We're going to record his trailer information. It's this easy. Add a new FlexGrid tie-in. Here's Bob's information. He's the main player. You always have to have a source. Where are you going to attach this FlexGrid to? You can't just put FlexGrid in the air. You have to say, who's going to hold it? And you say, okay, Bob's going to hold this. Then you can connect it to other people if you needed to, but Bob's going to hold it. We're going to come down and skip this portion. This is the portion where you actually tie it to different buttons if you needed to, okay? And guess what we have? 2 custom fields. It's this easy. He has a Ford F-150. Let's actually go technical like some of the people would be. 1999. And he has a 2-horse bumper pull. And you probably wouldn't have to do all those fancy little things like that. But nonetheless, you kind of put in whatever you want to put in, okay? And then you could put any other notes you want to, add the tie-in. So now, anytime your member, if you land on Bob's information and you wanted to see what he had, you could technically pull that up. Say you had a whole bunch of members and you're like, you know what, I need to know everybody who has a 2-horse trailer. You could technically either use the quick search and say, I know that that's in the flex grid, go check for the number 2. Is this what you were looking for? I could just found 2. Or you could go like this. Let's actually go to the flex grid homepage and let's actually say I'm specifically looking for members, okay? And I'm specifically looking for capacity 2 in the capacity field, nowhere else, okay? This is a little bit detailed, further detailed. Okay, now search that. I still got to his record, but like you can really detail it out if you wanted to, okay? That was perfect, that was perfect. Do you have any questions on that? We flipped a corp-wide setting, we set up 2 little custom fields, and then we're able to use them at will or random, depending on how we wanted to do that. Okay, awesome. I'm just going to clear this little shopping cart here. Okay, cool. Cheryl, do you have any questions or any comments? Or?
No.
Okay, perfect. I've been talking this whole afternoon. Why don't we just kind of turn it into a light discussion and you guys can either lead it or take it or whatever. Like, I would love to kind of just switch the pace up a little bit. Instead of being me, just show. Let's just chat. Or here's something fun, just for fun. Here's some pictures. Do you guys know why we chose these different pictures? I can tell you some fun stuff.
I don't know why you chose the deer, or the elk, or what is it?
Okay, great. So this is a deer, okay? Now, the difference here is a relationship between static and dynamic. Say I was shooting at a target, okay? The target didn't move, and I was always 30 feet or X number of feet away from it, okay? Even though I'm shooting something, that's pretty static, is it not? It's pretty static. It doesn't move. It happens when things start moving.
It's harder to hit them.
It is harder to hit them, but you have to account for that, static versus dynamic, okay? So it's just kind of a small little picture to explain that in a way. Like, sometimes certain things just get stuck into a category, but as soon as your object starts moving, here, remember how we did a little bit of a demo this morning on talking about some of these little holders versus like static, okay? In theory, that looks great, it looks awesome. But what happens in real life when the person calls and says, oh, by the way, I want extra lava lamps or extra hurricane lamps or extra chairs? All of a sudden, you just broke that perfectly static model that looks good on paper and it looks good on, oh my goodness, now I have to flex and now I have to move and now I have to do something. So if you're hunting, the difference between target practice and hunting is static versus dynamic. Okay, that's why we chose that little picture.
What is a hurricane lamp versus lava lamp? Since we've gotten that wrong the whole
Hurricane
time.
is shaped like this. It comes down and then it kind of goes out and then it goes like that. You know, it's like an old-fashioned lamp.
Oh, okay.
And allows for flame, but it has a flow chimney. You know,
Oh.
and in the old times, the chimney protected against wind. You know, like that chimney helped it so that your lamp would blow out
Oh,
in a hurricane, I guess.
cool.
Or
Okay.
some kind of a lava lamp, though, is the one where it's
Right.
like you turn it on, it's got the
Yeah,
blobs that go up. and
right.
down.
I knew what a lava lamp was, but
Old versus 60s.
Yeah.
I was going to
I
say
wish
modern.
there was
yeah.
such a thing as lava lamps in weddings.
that would be cool. Lava wedding lamp.
Kind of fun, actually.
What is that thing with the bottom with all the little stuff? What is that?
Which one? This one?
Yeah.
Okay, so often what we do is when we are explaining how to put your items into inventory, what we do is we say you need to create a placeholder, pretend like you have a bunch of cans or like a bunch of Pringles cans, and you need categories. Guess what we do when we do expenses? Eventually you're going to need to categorize these expenses, are you not? You create virtual little cans inside of Adilas, and then you're like, oh, this much went into payroll, oh, this much went into utilities, oh, this much went into, what you do is you dictate what these little cans are, So this, it's just a small little graphic to kind of explain that. So like, say this one right here is for something, and this one right here is for something. But every time you make a sell, or like, sorry, spend some money, you would basically say, oh, I need to categorize this in my utilities. Oh, I'm paying off a reimbursement. Oh, I'm paying for phone and internet. And then when we pull it all together, you're just sticking it in places, but what it's really doing in the background is we're now able to map to your virtual cans and show that on your P&L. Okay? That's one of the ways that we do that. This
The flaming oil rig.
I'm going to have Shannon talk about this one. Okay? This is a flaming oil rig. We like to call it a what?
Burning platform. And I'm sure Brandon could explain it much better, but essentially the idea is sometimes it's difficult to change when there's not the incentive to change, and I think sometimes they give the description like, hey, would you jump off this platform, or change something really dramatic maybe in the way you're doing it, and no one would be willing to do that. But as soon as the platform's burning, you have people that will voluntarily jump off. You don't even have to ask them. They'll go and they'll do it. But sometimes we get to that in business functions or things, or I don't know, where it comes to a burning platform, so we have to change something, or we're finally ready to jump.
So Adilas goes through burning platforms all the time. You do in your own life as well. We've even talked about some of the new ones right here, okay? Like, if I'm the developer of this company and all of a sudden I get more and more and more requests, eventually what has to happen is I have to let go of some of that, okay? It becomes a burning platform, either that or I get squished just like grape, okay? So we have to let go, and we include other people, and we're like, you know what, I can totally see where this is going. Let's start recruiting help. Cool, cool. And so instead of it being like, okay, I'm going to build this and do this and do this and this, we start expanding it and we help people. That's just one of many burning platforms. It tends to speed up change a little bit quicker because most people don't really want to hang out when it's burning like that. Okay?
Especially if it's an oil rig.
Yes.
Well, there's a
Platform could be one thing, but if it's oil, I can see where that could be even more immediate.
a burning platform. Basically, like Shannon said, that's a long ways down if you were to jump. Like, it'd be like, oh! But if it's burning, there are people that are volunteering to do this type of thing. So sometimes you don't want it to necessarily burn all the way down, but sometimes you could relate to this. I know you love like talking about government and different things like this, but like the government doesn't want to let a catastrophe get away without being, oh wow, cool, guess what, we can implement these new little, it creates modes for change. Because otherwise things are almost locked into a gridlock. And or hitting this.
Never let a crisis go waste.
Like, if you're just hitting a brick wall constantly, if something happens, a distraction or something happens, all of a sudden it creates motion. You're no longer in gridlock. And so a burning platform sometimes forces change.
And the sand trap.
Okay, so basically right here, this is a game, the game of golf. And by design, they actually have things that are designed to be problems, okay? In the game of business, you have potential problems. If you play the game and you're on the fairways and on the greens, it's fairly easy rolling, okay? Customers are automatically connected to invoices or automatically, eventually you can deposit it. That's a normal flow, okay? That's fairways, that's greens, that's all that kind of stuff. I got the invoice, sort of got some money, it went over here, I paid Johnny out the back door, you're in the rough, okay? You just totally lost the main flow, okay? But they're specifically designed there because it's kind of part of the game, as far as the game of business. Who are you doing? What are you doing with your money? Are you tracking all those pieces or all this? Like, how detailed are you playing? Oh, you just did this and you kicked it off over here. You put the date way far forward, but you put the payment way far back. That screws up the mapping. You're in the sand trap now, okay? Not that you can't get out, but you just have to know that, okay, I'm going to have to walk in there, get my other wedge versus a putter, and now I'm going to actually have to do a different stroke to get it out, okay? It's the game of business. And on purpose, there are roughs, and there are sand traps, and lakes, and valleys, and you kind of start learning the game. It's actually part of the game. It creates some of the trouble, if you will, of that game. But if it didn't have any trouble, it wouldn't really be that big of a challenge. So it's the game of business is kind of what we were talking about on that one. Anyway, that's the game of golf. I thought golf was fun because on purpose you almost put obstacles. Okay, you're out on this teeny little island and you have to whack it all the way over the the little lake, and then you have this other little teeny island where you have to land it on. That's tough, but that's part of the game. Can you play? Can you play? Okay. And once you figure out what the holes are and how the things flow, as long as you're doing the normal paths, we're going to be right with you. If you decide to be like, I'm going to try this, what happens is the balance sheet will end up catching, because if we can't find it through the mapping, all of a sudden it'll be like, hey, just so you know, I'm out by $25. Like, okay. So I wasn't out yesterday, but I am out today. What's my history? What did I do today? Oh, there's the $25. And you know what? You're right. I probably should have. We try to help catch you that way, but like we're not going to stop you. We'll let you get into the sand trap if you want to. Okay, it's some of the flexibility that we add to it. This is an important one. If you can think of brick walls as like time, I like to think of it that way. Okay, you have the big wall, which is years and years and years or whatever, and then each row might be a month, and then you get into the day, and then within that, you technically could have tons and tons of little details inside of there. So guess what? If I have one little thing in here, I could put multiple wedding events, I could put multiple invoices, multiple customer logs, multiple deposits, but it's all contained within my date, 8/28, okay? Then I move on to the next one. Or maybe something was back or forth. Like, if you can stack things into dates, we can get back to it, no problem. You're unlimited as far as how deep you can stack it in there, but that's the consistency behind Adilas is actually the dates and times, objects and data over time. The consistency becomes the time element. So that's actually a core piece of it. Awesome. I'm pretty much done unless you guys have any other questions or anything, and
That's great.
we'll kind of go from there.